zida bala shima haran zara zar zida ran za om a om bezangara be magdon za meza samayan za zida bala shima haran zara zara ya zida shin za om a om bezangara be magdon za meza samayan za zida bala Ramara Nazara Zara Zidara Renza Bezangara Vimadana Zambeza Zamaya Zazida Bala Ramara Nazara Zara Zidara Renza Bezangara Vimadana Zambeza Zamaya Zazida Bala Ramara Nazara Zara Zidara Renza Bezangara Vimadana Zambeza Zamaya Zazida Bala Ramara Nazara Zara Zidara Renza Bezangara Vimadana Zamaya Zada Bala, Ramara, Zara Zara, Zada Renza, Mezangara, Bimadra, Mezazamaya Zada Bala, Ramara, Zara Zara, Zada Renza, the page number 8. We do only English this section. Number 8. The home.
Hum, emanating myriad forms from the continuous Dharmadhatu nature, naturally appear the Lama, Yidam, Dakinis, and an ocean of oath-bound ones. Kindly consider your spiritual pledges and send down great resplendence.
Om Bezangara Devandra Gana Samaya Avijaya. Yes.
Hum, within the continuous nature in which all phenomena are void and without reference point, I bring forth kindness, compassion, and love for all wayfaring beings. From the causal syllable Shri arise E, Yum, Rum, Bum, Lum, and Sum, which respectively transform into space, wind, fire, water, earth, and the supreme mountain made of precious jewels. At its core is a multi-hued lotus, in the center of which is a crossed Vajra. At the hub of the Vajra is a Brahm, which transforms into a precious, immeasurable palace. Endowed with all characteristics, light rays flare forth from it. Within the surrounding protection sphere, upon a multicolored lotus, sun, and moon, is my own awareness in the form of the causal syllable Shri. It transforms into myself, appearing as the lotus born, white with a tinge of red, possessing the useful splendor of a boy. My right hand holds a Vajra at the heart. The left one, placed in equipoise below the navel, holds a skull cup filled with nectar. My head is adorned with a lotus hat, a vulture's feather, silken strips, and a mirror emanating rays of light. I am robed in a brocade cloak, red silken dharma robes, and a blue gown. Various golden ornaments adorn my ears, hands, feet, neck, and waist. I am majestically poised, Vajra position, with a trident held in the crook of my left arm. I am surrounded by a host of Totrang Tsal's 4 classes, the 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche, spiritual heroes, sky dancers, servants, Dharma guardians, and haughty spirits, gathering like rain clouds in the sky. From the body, speech, and mind of the deities visualized in this way, light shines forth and invites the Lama, who is the embodiment of the 3 roots, to come from the supreme continent of Kamara in the southwest. The Lama then dissolves into me. Hum. In the northwest border of Uddiyana, in the pollen heart of a lotus, you attained the marvelous, most excellent accomplishment. Renowned as the lotus-born, you are surrounded by a retinue of male and female sky dancers. As I practice, following in your footsteps, I pray you will come here to bestow your blessings. Vajra Samadza. Hum. Please remain on this delightful seat in the center of this resplendent and wondrous palace, emanating bodies equal to the number of atoms in the world. We pay homage with faithful body, speech, and mind.
Samaya Tijale Adabo Bardiza.
Hum. I offer water to drink, water to bathe the feet, flowers, incense, oil lamps, scented water, food and music, such as that of drums and conch shells. I offer supreme medicine in the 8 root and 1,000 subsidiary ingredients, rakta formed of causes and conditions, and an embellished torma. The Yabgyum union is the greatest bliss, symbolizing the absolute truth, innate bliss and emptiness. Please accept this wondrous offering. Om. Homage and praise to the Guru's body, appearing yet void, void yet appearing. Ah. Homage and praise to the Guru's speech, heard yet void, void yet heard. Hum. Homage and praise to the Guru's mind, void yet clear, clear yet void. Praise to you who is endowed with infinite attributes and trains beings with enlightened deeds.
Continue. No, this.
Oh, sorry. Hum, hum, hum. All appearance are the Guru's form, primordially existing. How incredible. All sounds are the Guru's speech. Indivisible wind and mantra is the sound of nada. All thoughts are the Guru's mind, originally pure within primordial Dharmakaya. The billion-fold universe proclaims the natural sound of the mantra. By sending out rays of light, the purpose of transient beings is accomplished. By gathering it back, it merges with the space of the mother. Visualize and practice until clarity is achieved. Do not stop until accomplishment is attained.
bezo zamayan za zida bala om bezangara bimandon bezo zamayan za zida bala om bezangara bimadon 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 bezo zamayan za zida bala 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 shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara ya zida shen zan za bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala bezangara bimadon bezo zamayan za zida bala shima harin zara zara zida shen zan za page 19 den jong ai je gor jo jang jie lai nom be zhe mai da xie dai xie me gan zhong wa la zo na la zo ba zo.
Home. Having entered the gates of the Supreme Mantra Vehicle, in order to purify stains of omissions, additions, and mistakes, I beseech you, Divine Assembly, to forbear all errors I am aware of and all those I do not recall.
Om bezo zado samaya mana balaya bezo zado deno ba diran do men bawa sude kayo men bawa sube jayo men bawa anarado men ba sawa zede men do yanza sawa karma suzame zodan shiran goro hong ha wo banga wen sawa tanga dan bezo mamen Bedraba ma samaya sado wa om beza sado samaya mano balaya beza sado dino ba diran do men ba Sudu kayo me bawa, sube kayo me bawa, anarado me bawa, sawa sede menjaya sawa karma sida me, sidan shirayang kuro wong wo banga. Sawa dadang gadang bezar mame bezar bezar bawa ma samaya sado wa, wan bezar sado samaya, mana balaya, bezar sado dino. Membawa sudukayo membawa subejayo membawa anarado membawa sawa sida menjayan sawa karma sida me sidan shirang kuro hong wo banga. Sawa dadang gadang bezar mame bezar bawa ma samaya sado wa, ran ye me balar na wa. 月马大为见过了，却也让人内在的，若没罗娘阿拉拉。
The illusory deities of the mandala, divine appearances lacing any real existence, gather back into the natural abode of Dharmadhatu. How wondrous is this overwhelming, unbound ease. Ho. Ho. May the auspiciousness of the blessings of the root and lineage lamas, all the way back to Samantabhadra, prevail. May the auspiciousness of the twofold cities of the assembly of peaceful and wrathful victorious Yidams prevail. May the auspiciousness of the mothers, sisters, Dakinis, and secondary Dakinis' enlightened accomplishments prevail. May the auspiciousness of the annihilation of enemies and obstructors by the host of Dharma protectors and oath-bound haughty ones prevail. Now page 63 in the long pecha. We're going to be chanting this in English. watch and pure land of perfect happiness, even the names of sorrows unknown. Amitabha's grand long life, regard me kind-heartedly in Potala, pure land of perfect compassion. Even 5 poisons names don't exist. Chenrezig, hold me with love. Grant me the supreme city in lotus light, pure land of Vidyadhara's deathless life. Even misery's names are gone. Lotus-born, grant your blessing. Sky-faring rainbow body, in manifest joy, land of perfect bliss, even the names for confused hate don't exist. Vajrasattva, grand blessings, mirror-like wisdom, city in glory endowed, land of perfect splendor, even names for confused pride don't exist. Ratnasambhava, bestow equanimity, wisdom in the watch and pure land of great happiness, even names for confused desire are gone. Amitabha, bless and grant discerning wisdom, city in fulfilled activity, land of perfect Buddha deeds. There's no words for jealousy. Amoghasiddhi, bestow all accomplishing wisdom in the Ogmin Dharma sphere, endowed with by perfections. Ignorance does not exist. Verochana, grand Dharma, Dhatu, wisdom, siddhi, grand vital essences of the 5 great mothers and long life. Innemnated Udhyana, Sogyal dwells with Dakinis, grant bliss, emptiness, mastery of profound mantra, Guru, whose all phenomena, where all lineage yidams dwell. Grant awakening in one life, fortune of Mahamudra, in the sphere of self-display. Dwell yidams of peace and wrath, grant supreme and common power, city fulfilling all aims. In 24 sacred sites, gather infinite sky dancers, grant ripening, liberating powers. Fortune of secret mantra, in Dharmakaya's expanse, dwell the lineage lords and kin. Grant and light and acts increase, 2 stages mantra, deity in all taming Tulku's sphere. Dwell Mahakala and cohort, grant subjugating city, fortune of enlightened acts. Hum Hri in Vaishravana's abode dwells the wealth god Sambhala, who acts kindly for all beings. Master of life, merit, wealth, food, and fortune with your court. Don't waver from your heart pledge. Think of us compassionately, bring here all long life, fortune, bring here fortune of cattle, fortune of swift horses, and wealth of wish-granting livestock, the fortune of fertile sheep, and of herd animals, fortune of goats and those best cattle, wealth of wish-granting cows, bulls, mules to carry heavy loads, all this good fortune bring here, fortune of fine lovely silk, highly priced gold and silver, fertile soil and the 6 grains, precious gems and ornaments, food and drink of every kind, bring them here as good fortune, Brahma's fortune from above. Spirit's wealth midway, Naga's wishing gem below, 3 worlds, gods and humans' wealth, bring them here as good fortune, Lupagbo's body, fortune, Zamboling's holy dharma, Balangcho's fortunate wealth, Draminyan's longevity, being's life, strength, and merit. Of all lands grant their fortune, Indian kings religious might, Chinese kings all reaching force, Persian kings fortune and wealth, the army of King Caesar, the courage of Ukarhor, as good fortune bring them here, fortune of the endless sky, fortune of the stable grounds, perfect wealth, food and clothing, radiant splendor, riches, strength, armor, weapons, miracle powers, monks who uphold the scriptures, fortune of brave and strong boys, beautiful and virtuous girls, pure offspring, please all of these, bring them here as good fortune, like sun and moon's eastern rise, eastern long life fortune come, like the swirling southern clouds, southern long life fortune come, like enshrouding mist, western long life fortune please come here, like a river flows northern, long life fortune please come here, like rain falling from above, upper long life fortune come, like 6 grains ripening below, lower long life fortune come, fortune of melodious praise, come like turquoise dragons roar, fortune of heart students line, come like dazzling star garlands, Hum Hri Eastern Vajra Dakini, bring life's fortune pacify, disease, demons, hindrances, Southern Jewel Dakini, bring resources, food and wealth, expand life, merit, riches. Lotus Dakini, summon power to tame all things, samsara and nirvana. Northern Action Dakini, bring the foreign light and acts, annihilate, hinders evil. Wealth gods with your retinue, bring here all the world's fortune. Bring auspicious objects here. Bring fortunate objects here. Always remain at this place, and make these fortunes steadfast. Potentize life's substances, and at this place protect wealth. Please remain firm, unchanging. Grant eternal life, city. Grant endless treasure, city. Grant wealth and merit, city. Grant to cities, let them be accomplished spontaneously. Sarwa Siddhi Alala. Page 90. Om, Ah, Hum, three Kayas, Lama, deities of longevity, Dakinis of Uddiyana, and assembly of wealth gods, please bestow the four empowerments upon me and other fortunate disciples. Being bestowed with the supreme form empowerment upon my body, may I attain the indestructible Vajra body. Being bestowed with the supreme speech empowerment upon my speech, may I attain the power of Brahma's 60 melodies. Being bestowed with the supreme mind empowerment upon my mind, may I attain power over the unborn simplicity. May I obtain the essence kaya empowerment, the ultimate empowerment that is the spontaneous presence of the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the Guru's three kayas, which causes the three poisons to manifest as the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the long-life deities of the five families, which causes the five poisons to manifest as the five aspects of primordial wisdom. May I obtain the empowerment of the Dakinis of Uddiyana, by which the body of deathless primordial wisdom is attained. May I obtain the empowerment of white Zambala Yabyum, which effortlessly and spontaneously accomplishes ordinary and sublime cities. May I obtain the empowerment of wealth gods and treasure lords, which perfects the abundance of food, wealth, and riches. May I obtain the empowerment of Mahamudra, which liberates from samsara's pain. May I obtain the empowerment of self-knowing Dharmakaya, which is the primordial purity of the delusional perceptions of unawareness. May I obtain the empowerment of the great completion, which is the primordial purity of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana. May I obtain the empowerment of the great middle way, which naturally liberates the four extremes of eternalism and nihilism. May I obtain the empowerment of the perfection of wisdom, which is inexpressible, being beyond words and thoughts. May I obtain the empowerment of total openness, free from fixation, which naturally liberates dualistic propensities. May I obtain the empowerment of immortal life, which is the unchanging expanse of awareness. May I obtain the empowerment of awakening within one lifetime, which is the endless accumulation of merit. Hum, Hri, the Guru who is the three Kayas, deities of longevity, Dakinis of Uddiyana, and assembly of wealth gods, my own body, speech, and mind, this life, all solid and substantial matter, all these dissolve like clouds dissolving in the sky, or water pouring into water, without reference point, into the all-pervasive open space of Ah. Hum Shri. By this virtue of timelessness beyond the three times, may all beings be relieved from the suffering of poverty, hunger, and thirst, and may all wishes and enjoyments be fulfilled. At last, may they swiftly attain the most excellent state of the Master Padmasambhava and Amitabha in the Buddha field, great bliss, and reach the ground of no return.
Open Prayer Yellow Book, page number 18.
Page 18 in the Yellow Book. Emaho. In space is wondrous Buddha, limitless illumination, Amitabha, with the great compassionate Lord Chenrezig to his right, and the courageous being of great might, Vajrapani, to his left. They are surrounded by a retinue of innumerable Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Immediately on transmigrating from here, uninterrupted by other kinds of birth, may I and others take birth in that pure realm of infinite, wondrous bliss and happiness known as Dewa Chen. Thus may we behold the countenance of limitless illumination. I beseech all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions to bless that this aspiration prayer I have made be accomplished without hindrance. Teyata Panchadriya Awa Bodhanaya Soha. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you so much. Enjoy lunch and see you 2 p.m.
Just a quick announcement for folks that are checking out today. If you could pack up your rooms and so forth by the end of the lunch break, we would really appreciate that. We have folks coming in tonight into the rooms that you're vacating, so that would be really wonderful. Thank you.